So I wasn't going to make a video about this, but with the Metaphor ReFantazio exclusive showcase on April 22nd, I just couldn't resist. So I am looking forward to this game, Metaphor ReFantazio, more than any other game that is going to release this year. The only thing that would come close was Persona 3 Reload, and that lived up to literally everyone's expectations. So let's just get right into the top 5 reasons why Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be Game of the Year 2024. Number 5 is the lore, which is much different than what we're all used to from games like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. It's a lot closer to something more traditional, like Final Fantasy. This game takes place in a fantasy world called the United Kingdom of Uchronia. The ruler of this kingdom, the king, is assassinated by a mysterious villain who we don't know yet. And the whole point of him doing this is to throw the world into a whole bunch of chaos and initiate a new era where the gods that rule this world make a contact with the people who live in it to try to find a new person worthy of ruling the world as a new king. The god who rules this world shows himself to every single person who lives in it and says that in order to find someone who is worthy of taking the throne and being the new king of the world, you will have to travel the entire world and be the winner of this event called the tournament. And whoever wins this tournament will be the new ruler of the entire world. And the character that you play as is a young boy who's really ostracized by society for his ability of being very sensitive to forbidden magic. So this boy begins his journey to become the king of the world and be the winner of this worldwide tournament. The thing about it also is that this young kid that we play as, he's also very close to the assassinated king and his son, the crown prince of Uchronia. And when the prince witnessed his father, the king, get assassinated, there was a curse placed on him. So this is actually a very personal thing as well for the boy that you play as, to not only become the new ruler, but to save his best friend, the prince. And along this journey of trying to become the world's new king, you're going to meet many different people along the way, and potentially have them join your cause and fight with you to help you become the new king. Some of these people will be from other noble families in the world, some of them will be elves, fairies, and even some animals. And I know I didn't do a great job of explaining this story's lore so far, but that is all we really know so far about it. There's not much else. And when you compare this to the other games that Alice has made, like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, I think that this is exactly what we need after a new Persona remake. Something completely original, because this industry today is nothing but remasters and remakes, and I know everybody loves to bitch about it. So this feels like Atlus actually listening to the people's bitching about the industry by giving us something completely fresh and original by the same creators of the games that we all love. And me personally, I think that this game's setting of the medieval fantasy world is just perfect, because I'm a guy who loves medieval fantasy. I love magic. I love looking into the so-called mythical creatures of the world, which I don't believe are actually mythical. I am a believer in them, which is why I love Atlus games, and specifically Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, because those games feel like they were specifically made for me. Like me personally, I have done tons of research into mythical creatures, which once again, I don't believe are actually mythical. I think they're legit, like pixie fairies and dragons, mermaids, leprechauns, unicorns, elves and gnomes, pegasuses, griffins, homunculuses, incubuses, orcs, hobbits, trolls, phoenixes, chupacabras, banshees, ghouls, ghosts, goblins, and giants, yetis, leviathans, garudas, harpies, centaurs. Hell, I even think werewolves are real. Because I've been researching mythical creatures since I've been a little kid, and what I have come to conclude is that there's definitely a lot of evidence for their existence. But I'm starting to get really off topic now. So, reason number 5 was the lore of Metaphor ReFantazio. If you like medieval fantasy, if you like mythical creatures, if you like epic quest journeys of trying to become the ruler of the world, then this game is for you like it's for me. Reason number 4 is the weapons of Metaphor ReFantazio, and also the combat. Now, the weapons and the combat for Metaphor ReFantazio is something that I am really excited for, just based off what we've seen so far. The protagonist seems to use a sword, but if you analyze the trailer yourselves, it doesn't seem like you're locked to just one kind of sword, like a broadsword or a Zwei handler. You can actually like switch it up to anything you want. Like you could change it into a rapier if you feel like. Or maybe even like a falchion or a morning star or a katana or like a flail. Perhaps a lance or even a halberd if you're feeling cheeky enough. Me personally, I'm gonna choose a scimitar if it's in there. Or maybe even a rapier if I'm feeling cheeky. This level of the freedom of customization for our weapons is not like how it is in Persona. Like, in Persona, you can only really choose a specific kind of weapon for the specific party member you're using. So if I'm like, controlling Joker in Persona 5, he'll only ever be able to use a knife or a dagger. But what if I felt like using Yusuke's katana or Ryuji's morning star? I can't do that because the game doesn't allow it. So I'm really looking forward to the customization of Metaphor ReFantazio because I'm a huge geek when it comes to weapons. And I'm really hoping that Atlus goes just off the wall with the kind of weapons they throw in. Like, let's get really, really wacky on this one. Like, I'm not expecting the kind of like Dark Souls, Elden Ring kind of quantity when it comes to these weapons. I'm expecting like a lot lower numbers, of course. But we really should make the choices that we have count when it comes to these weapons. Like, I really hope to see some tomahawks, a falcata, glaives, flaming arrows, javelins, katars, some kukris, a kyoketsu, maybe some kopais, some shurikens, maybe a shark tooth club as well. Like, that would be good for laughs. And perhaps even like a giant punji stick ball, just for goofs as well. I think it would be really cool to have a trident in there. Maybe even a Chinese zwa, or some primitive Chinese like firearms. That would just be way too fucking cool. And like, it would be a massive missed opportunity as well if they didn't put like a kusarigama in there. Or even just a giant two-handed scythe. Like, I guarantee there would be tons of people who would run that. Continuing on number 4 real briefly, let's touch on the combat for Metaphor ReFantazio. Because I could not be happier that Atlus stayed true to what they know best, and that is the turn-based combat. And I know a lot of you probably get a bad taste in your mouth when you hear turn-based combat. You're probably like, oh no, a turn-based combat game on the PS5, it's gonna suck ass. But no, you know what? The fact of the matter is that because of the current state of the gaming industry nowadays, with all these stupid movie simulators being made, and just shitty space shooters, and fucking Fortnite garbage, and fucking sweaty FPS multiplayer shooters that are for fucking retards, and how EA Games will make a new fucking Madden every year, or a new NBA 2K will come out, and it will just be the same goddamn game every fucking time. It really is to me like people actually forgot what makes video games so great in the first place. And that was that they're supposed to be works of art. Just like Elden Ring. That game is so fucking great because it's a masterful piece of art. That game was not made by a bunch of corporate assholes sitting in their offices looking for the easiest way to be a fucking bunch of sellouts and corrupt the minds of a bunch of young kids just trying to play a pure game, but instead they have to be slapped in the face with a bunch of fucking pay-to-win microtransactions. No, instead, a game like Elden Ring was Game of the Year and a masterpiece because it was made with love. Just like how Metaphor ReFantazio and all of Atlus's games are made with love. They're not made to make money. Like, of course they are, but at the end of the day, these people are artists. They're not sellouts. And it's fine if you don't like turn-based combat in a modern-day gaming industry. That's understandable, but the fact of the matter is that maybe you just forgot how to use your brain when you're playing a game because of all the fucking movie simulators that the industry loves to fucking shit out. So yeah, man. Reason number 4 for the combat is that you're going to have to use your brain when you play this game. It's not just going to hold your hand. You're going to have to really make some tough choices playing this one, as you should when you're playing a video game. And me personally, I know that they're not going to do this, but I hope that they make the turn-based combat in Metaphor ReFantazio just as hard, if not harder, than as it is in Shin Megami Tensei, because I want to be tested when I play a game. I don't want it to play itself. Reason number 3 why Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be Game of the Year is the quest, the journey, and this fantasy world. The United Kingdom of Ukrainia in this game looks absolutely stunning, and so does every other area that they've showed off so far. Traveling through the world on your quest in this game is going to be quite the journey, where we're going to meet many different people and they're going to bring all kinds of new things to the table with the new system in the game and our party called the Archetypes. And what the Archetypes is almost kind of works like making a legendary evolution in Persona or using a summon in Final Fantasy, where your character will transform into a mythical creature and be able to do probably an all-new kind of moveset. And also, this is going to be very necessary for some of the more harder boss battles in the game, because you and your party all just staying in their normal human forms is definitely not going to cut it as you go on to fight dragons and things like that. And when the dragon buffs itself, you and your party are going to have to buff yourself in some kind of way to match its strength. And that's where these archetypes are going to come in. And from what I've seen in my trailer analyses, we've only seen like maybe 2 archetypes out of like the at least like guaranteed 4 that we're going to get. And we're definitely going to get more as we travel the world and max up our social ranks with the people that we meet on the journey. The whole idea of this quest too, with trying to become the world's new ruler and being chosen by the god of this world, is fucking genius by the creative team at Atlus. Like, come on, can you come up with anything more epic than that for a medieval fantasy turn-based JRPG? Because the creators have specifically said about this game that they wanted to create the fantasy world as a direct mirror to our own world. And if you want to talk pretty crazy, as I've already talked really crazy in this list, I think that there's a lot to say in the sense of like, that the sick bastards who truly run the world today are definitely not going to hold their position for long. And we are all going to have the opportunity to be the kings of ourselves and be able to govern ourselves. And this wouldn't be the first time that Atlus has made a game like this. This is what they do best. Like, if you've ever looked at the true occult knowledge of Persona 5, there is a lot of truth in there of how our world really works. With the very in-your-face metaphors in Persona 5 about reforming society and the people who control society. This is why this game is called Metaphor. So I'm looking forward very much to the truth that Atlus is going to drop in this game about all of our futures and our world as we know it. Reason number 2 why Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be Game of the Year is the music. The music in all of Atlus's games are nothing short of fucking masterpieces. Masterpieces that are on par with fucking Ludwig van Beethoven, I would say. And the music in this game is something a little different than what we usually get from Atlus. What we usually get in Shin Megami Tensei and Persona is a lot of like Japanese kind of pop sort of music, or like maybe some like hardcore heavy metal in SMT. And we also do get a lot of like Japanese techno and like dance music in Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. The reason that the music ranks so high for me on the importance in this game specifically is because, in my opinion, I know I'm in the minority when I say this, but Atlus really fucked up with the music for Persona 3 Reload that they made this year. It's not that I don't like the music for Persona 3 Reload. If anything, like when people are voting for Game of the Year this year for the awards, that game should win if people have any idea what the fuck they're doing. But look, bro, like the fact of the matter is that I played the original Persona 3 long before I ever touched the remake, like a long time before, and if anybody else has done the same, then you would know that the music in the original is far superior, and there's no way that the remake could ever come close to that. And Atlus also just makes a lot of stupid decisions when it comes to the music in their games lately. Like, in SMT3 HD Remaster, they decided to fucking compress the music into a whole bunch of fuzzy quality just because they wanted to get that game out the fucking door as fast as possible. But with Metaphor ReFantazio, they seem to be making the right choice with this one, because if there's any genre of music that is superior to any other one, it's definitely classical music. There's no question about it, and I don't care how in the minority I am. You're gonna tell me that fucking mass destruction in Persona 3 Reload is better than it is in Persona 3 Fez or Persona 3 Portable? Are you going to tell me that Master of Tartarus is better in Persona 3 Reload than it is in Persona 3 Portable? You're fucking insane. Like, even the opening movie song for the original Persona 3, Burn My Dread, was a million times better than the opening song we got for Remake. And I'm going to be honest, man, the animation was better, but the song definitely wasn't. So please, for the love of Christ, if anybody out there at Atlas is watching, please do not fuck up the music in these future Persona games. This is something that is really, really sensitive to the real fans like myself. So please, just keep it in its original form, or at least give us the option to switch back to the original soundtrack, because I'm very sensitive to shitty music, and I am glad to say that the music that we've heard so far in Metaphor ReFantazio, just in the trailers, is absolutely mind-blowing. It is nothing short of an instant classic. This soundtrack is going to be just mind-blowing. And I know exactly why that is, because the people who are working on the soundtrack for Persona 3 Reload are not the same people who made the soundtrack for the original Persona 3. The people who made this soundtrack for the original Persona 3 are working on Metaphor ReFantazio. So we have nothing to worry about in terms of getting a great soundtrack from Metaphor ReFantazio. And the number one reason why this game is going to be Game of the Year in 2024 when it releases this fall, and you probably already saw this one coming, but this game is going to be not just a video game, but a masterpiece of art. One that people are going to play for many, many console generations to come in the future. Everything about this game, Metaphor, looks just brilliant. Every single enemy design that you fight in this game that we've seen so far just looks perfect. The character designs all look perfect, and every single choice that Atlas has made during the development of this game is just so fucking creative. Like, the fact that you can just throw any sword you want on the ground and ride it around like a skateboard and then just do 360 grab tricks in the air off of ledges and shit is just fucking genius. You can tell that I'm very passionate about this game, and you can tell that I'm very passionate about video games in general. And that's because, to be honest, gaming really does suck right now. Everything is just a corporate, sellout, uncreative piece of shit nowadays that you are only going to play once or maybe twice and then never play it again. And that's not the point of these games. These games are supposed to stand the test of time, just like how they do in the PS2 era, the GameCube era, the original Xbox era. Those games, we still play them today because they are pieces of art made with love. Metaphor ReFantazio is not going to be just another video game. This is going to be a masterpiece work of art. Something like a Van Gogh painting or a fucking Picasso. This is going to be the kind of piece of art that lives well long after all of us. It's going to outlive all of us. So that was the top 5 reasons why Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be Game of the Year. And if you want to play something that is actually going to be worth the full price of a game nowadays, you know what to get now, bro. So please subscribe to the channel for more Shin Megami Tensei content, more Persona content, and more Metaphor ReFantazio content in the future. Please leave a like if you liked the list, or please leave a dislike if you disliked my list. That's all from me. Peace.